guys, today's video is going to be talking about books that I read this spring. So that is the books that I read during March, April and May of this year. I read a total of 17 books these last 3 months, and I definitely picked up the slack in May. May was a really good reading month for me. Some of these books I have as physical copies, some of these books I have on my Kindle. Let's start with the books I read in March. The first book I read was The Queen of the Tailing by Erica Johansson, The Invasion of the Tailing, again by Erica Johansson, Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare, Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. Next is the books I read in April, which is pretty much the Mortal Instruments series. The City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. All of these are pretty much by the same author, so there's probably no point in me saying by Cassandra Clare about 6 times. City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire. Finally, the books I read in May. Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare, Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters, again Rick Riordan, Percy Jackson and the Titan's Curse, Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth, Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian. Finally, Winter's Bride by Nellie Sealand. You can probably sense a bit of a theme in my spring reading. I've been reading a lot of series together. I've basically been catching up on Cassandra Clare's books. I started reading Rick Riordan's books, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, and then I also read a few other random bits in between, like Winter's Bride and The Queen of the Tailing. It's kind of hard to pick a top 5 out of all these books because, as I said, a lot of them are series. I don't know, it's just hard to pick really, but I'm gonna try. So in no particular order, Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. I fell in love with this series completely and utterly. Like, I love the characters, I love the relationships between the characters, and the ending just made me sob, like actually sobbing, and I'm still not over it. Seriously, I am still not over this book. Like, I still think about it and it's like 2 months later. It's such an amazing story, and the Infernal Devices series is amazing. It's my favourite Cassandra Clare series. I love it more than the Mortal Instruments. Next is The City of Bones. I think this was a really good introductory book. It was a good first book for the Mortal Instruments series. I think I first read this series a few years ago when it first came out, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it when I reread it this spring. Characters haven't started to grate on my nerves a little bit like they do sometimes within a series. Next is The City of Lost Souls, again by Cassandra Clare. I don't know why I chose this book. This is the 5th book in the series, but I just liked where the storyline was going. I liked where they were at that point in the story, and to be honest, the characters had started to, or certain characters had started to annoy me a little bit in the books previously, so this made me really fall in love with the characters again, and I did prefer it more to City of Heavenly Fire, and I don't know, I just something about this book and the story within it I just really enjoyed. So this is definitely one of my favourites of the Mortal Instruments series. Next is Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian. I really enjoyed this as a conclusion to the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. I think it rounded things off very well. It kept us wondering like what the future could hold, so what other books that he could bring out, and of course I know that he's brought out more series and I've got more to read of it, so for me, it kind of made me excited to see what was coming. As I said, it rounded off the story really well. It rounded off the characters very well. It brought characters' relationships to conclusions, or things that had been hinted at throughout the books, and I just really enjoyed it, and I'm excited to read the next series. Finally, my favourite book to read in spring, Lady Midnight by Cassandra Clare. This was so good. I like Cassandra Clare's writing anyway. I enjoyed The Infernal Devices, I enjoyed The Mortal Instruments, but this was just out of this world. Like, I think it's her best work yet. And just the way it's written, the way the characters are, we see more of the world of the shadow hunters that she's created, and the character dynamics, the character relationships within it. I just love it, and I'm so excited for the next one, and I'm so impatient, and I just want it now, and I'm gutted that it's not anytime soon. Definitely Lady Midnight, my favourite read this spring, and it's just a good size, thick book, and I think I actually got through it pretty quickly. When I'm really enjoying books, I tend to not do anything else with my time. I tend to just sit there and read constantly, come home from work, read, before I go to bed, read, before I go to work, read. I'm just constantly reading. That was it for the books that I read in spring. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm definitely going to be making a lot more book related videos because I'm reading a lot at the moment. I'm basically in a bit of a bookish phase at the moment. I'm obsessed, and you can check out my Goodreads accounts, which I will link below if you want to see where I'm up to, what I'm reading at the moment, what I've just read. I'm posting reviews on there of different books. So thank you for watching this video, and I shall see you next time. Bye!